I will now call to order the City County Council meeting for Monday, December 4, 2017. We'll begin our meeting with a prayer and pledge of allegiance led by Councilor Jackson.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I'd like the prayer to be done by my humble friend and guest, Pastor Green, who is the senior pastor of New Purpose of Life Ministries, and he's also the president of Concerned Clergy. Pastor Green.
Let us pray. Eternal God, our Father, we come before you as humble as we know how. Lord, we thank you for this gathering on today. We thank you, Lord God, for this assembly of leaders. We ask, Lord God, that you might bless our time together on today. We speak blessings over every city, county council, Lord God, and their responsibilities. We pray, Lord, for the city of Indianapolis, that you'll continue to bless our city. We pray that you'll grant peace in our city, Lord God. Bring us together. Help us to be unified in a cause that lifts up everybody. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Green. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If all councilors would select the green button to indicate your attendance. Councilor Oliver. There are 24 members present. Councilor Fanning did ask to be excused this evening. The next item on our agenda is introduction of guests and visitors. Councilor McQuillan.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to introduce an honored guest. His name is Dr. Larry Lynn. He's the Pediatric Medical Director at Community Hospital North. Dr. Lynn.
Councilor Feaster.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to recognize a couple of new friends, Pastor Tim Lindsay and Pastor Matt Barnes, who I am working with to have a prayer caucus before council meetings. So thank you very much for your efforts.
Councilor McHenry.
Thank you. I would like to recognize some people from Wayne Township. So Becky Viway and Susan Scott and Jean Conson. Becky and Susan both work in the trustee's office, and Jean is our fire chief out in Wayne. So thank you so much for coming out tonight.
Chairman Osley.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to recognize the Executive Director of the Crooked Creek Glick Neighborhood Center, Patrice Duckett.
Additional introductions? Vice President Adamson.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to recognize my AFSCME sister, Georgia Cravey, and my Aunt Virginia, who is also here.
Councilor Jackson.
Thank you, Madam President. Although he did the prayer, I'd like to recognize Pastor David Green, who is the president of Concerned Clergy, and he also has Pastor Alexander. If you guys could still please stand for me and be recognized. Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is the official communications. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam President. Ladies and gentlemen, you are hereby notified that regular meetings of the City County Council and Police, Fire, and Solid Waste Collection Special Service District Councils will be held in the City County Building in the Council Chambers on Monday, December 4th, 2017 at 7 p.m. The purposes of such meetings being to conduct any and all business that may properly come before regular meetings of the councils. Respectfully, Maggie A. Lewis, President, City County Council. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to the laws of the state of Indiana, I caused to be published in the Court and Commercial Record and in the Indianapolis Star on Wednesday, November 8, 2017, a copy of a notice of public hearing on proposal number 301-2017. Said hearing to be held on Monday, November 20th at 5:30 p.m. in room 260 of the City County Building and on proposal numbers 202, 296, 298, 307, 312, 314 through 316, and 318, 2017. Said hearing to be held on Monday, December 4th at 7 p.m. in the Public Assembly Room of the City County Building. Respectfully, Natrina DeBoe, Clerk of the City County Council. Ladies and gentlemen, I have approved with my signature and delivered this day to the Clerk of the City County Council, Natrina DeBoe, the following ordinances. Fiscal Ordinance Numbers 33 through 37, Special Ordinance Numbers 7 and 8, General Resolution Numbers 15 and 16, and Special Resolution Numbers 37 through 40. Joseph H. Hogsett, Mayor. Madam President, this concludes the official communications.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next item on our agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Do I have consent? Consent. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the journals for November 6, 2017. Do I have consent? Consent. We'll proceed to presentations of petitions, memorials, special resolutions, and council resolutions. Proposal number 331, introduced by Councilor Adamson.
Thank you, Madam President. It is not every day that someone is able to take a tragedy and turn it into something positive. And many of us here may have seen a segment on Fox 59 about what I'm about to read to you. But I think this is a pretty special person that can really do this. And I want to read to you today's City County Special Resolution Number 41, a special resolution recognizing Addie Bray and Linda Zanaco. Did I say that right? Yeah. Okay. Whereas 13-year-old Tim Brady drowned at the Douglas Park pool in 2010. His family was heartbroken and wondering what good could come of this tragedy. And whereas Tim was a standout student, and after he passed away, his mother, Addie Bray, wanted to find a way to honor him. She decided to offer free swimming lessons as a way to help children learn to swim and maybe one day save a child. And whereas Linda Zanatko, founder of He Knows Your Name Ministry, which strives to ensure that every child receives a name in life and dignity on honor and death, walked Addie and her family through the grief process, and the two women became like sisters. And
whereas Abby shared that she wanted to start a swimming lesson program, Linda made some phone calls, set up meetings, and the two shared their vision. And whereas their vision led to scholarship in Tim's name, where a plaque graces the pool in Tim's honor, and free swimming lessons at Douglas Park every summer for the past 6 years. And whereas the beautiful part about the swim lesson is that they put a different face on the tragedy, says Linda. In fact, it has turned Abby's grief into a gift of life that touches countless lives. Now, therefore,
let it be resolved by the City County Council of the City of Indianapolis and of Marion County, Indiana. Section 1, the City County Council recognizes Addie Bray and Linda Zanatko. Section 2, the council extends their appreciation and gratitude to Abby Bray and her family for sharing their heartbreak and their grief with our community. Section 3, the council thanks Linda Zanatko for her efforts in making sure that every child receives a name in life and dignity and honor and death. Section 4, the mayor is invited to join this resolution by affixing his signature here too. And Section 5, this resolution shall be in full force and effect upon adoption and compliance with IC 36-3414, and I so move.
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries. Back to the speakers.
Thank you, Madam President, councilors. And now I would like to introduce to you Addie Bray, who will address.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me here, first and foremost. I'm an honor to receive this award, and I'm in honor of Timothy. And I'd just like to thank everybody that helped to get it started, Linda Zanako. And I would like to give a special thanks to a good friend of mine who's the head corner down on McCarty Street, Alfie. Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is Proposal 397, introduced by Councilor McHenry, Feaster, and Lewis.
It's a great privilege to recognize Trustee Andy Harris as Indiana Trustee of the Year for 2017. We have 1,500 trustees in Indiana, and what an honor for our county, and especially for Wayne Township, to have such a dedicated and great leader. With that, I have a special resolution number 42, a special resolution honoring Andy Harris as the 2017 Indiana Trustee of the Year. Whereas a proven community leader winning the 2013 Top 125 Leaders in Indianapolis Award, and after serving as the Administrator of Neighborhood Services and overseeing the Mayor's Neighborhood Liaisons for the City of Indianapolis on behalf of former Mayor Greg Ballard, Andy Harris was elected Wayne Township Trustee in November 2010. And whereas since becoming trustee, Mr. Harris has made it a priority that community outreach and education be two of Wayne Township's biggest strengths. And whereas he and his staff established a victim assistance team for fire and natural disasters, and also made sure his team is trained in emotional care and disasters and grief following a trauma. And whereas Trustee Harris, along with the Wayne Township Fire Department, has helped to establish and work towards a business support program to assist businesses in Wayne Township to lower some of their cost of doing business. And
while I'm pointing, I'd like to take a point of personal privilege here for a second to say, out of the 92 trustees in the state of Indiana, and I've known a few, this gentleman is one of the best. He works very hard at that job every single day, and I don't know anyone that does constituent services better than Andy Harris. So, having said that, whereas with the trustees' support, the Wayne Township Fire Department has taught over 10,000 students CPR and started a program for CO testing after a Wayne Township student passed away due to carbon monoxide poisoning after a car crash. This initiative will lead to having laws in place regarding emissions, testing of vehicles more than 10 years old, which will hopefully be called Savannah's Law. And whereas Trustee Harris makes it a priority that he or his team cover events and community meetings to listen and learn what is going on in the township and see where the trustee's office can assist or help resolve problems. And whereas Trustee Harris and his office have received many awards, such as the Citizens 125 Leaders from the City of Indianapolis in 2016, and District Humanitarian Award from the Optimist Club in 2017, and the Community Hero of the Month Award from Fox 59 in 2017, and whereas the entire staff is professional and exhibits a win-win philosophy. The combination of leading by example, high ethical standards, and experience among all of the trustees' staff enables the firefighters and staff members to be excellent members to the community they serve.
And whereas it takes admiration, a nurturing attitude, diligence, honor, reliability, impartiality, and a sincere heart to be a successful trustee. Andy Harris is a true definition of who he is now. Therefore, be it resolved by the City County Council of the City of Indianapolis and of Marion County, Indiana, Section 1, the City County Council recognizes Wayne Township Trustee Andy Harris as the 2017 Indiana Trustee of the Year. Section 2, the City County Council acknowledges the many contributions, accomplishments, dedication, and hard work of the Wayne Township Trustee Office. The mayor is invited to join in this resolution by affixing his signature here too. Section 4, this resolution shall be in full force and effect upon adoption and compliance. This special and Madam President, I so move.
Second.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Back to the speakers.
And Madam President, with your permission, I'd like to ask Andy to speak, please.
Thank you all very much, my counselors. I've worked with many of you here in the community, here at the council for many years, Madam President, with you and many counselors from who I have behind me, Counselor Evans, Vop Osley. I appreciate the partnerships that we all have working together. Zach worked with you too. Just many of you. Just very, very grateful, humbled, and I'm blessed. My Fire Chief Gene Conzett back here in the back, Susan and Becky. I could not do it without the team. We all know it takes a great team, and I'm blessed to have every one of them. So thank you very much. Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is proposal number 398, introduced by Councilors Feaster, McHenry, Evans, and Lewis.
And we're back. And would the folks that worked on the Breakfast with Santa come and join me, please? This definitely takes a team, and this is another aspect of Trustee Harris. When Breakfast with Santa looked like it was going to be dissolved, he stepped up to organize and take the leadership role into continuing Breakfast with Santa. So you'll be interested to hear that this has been going on for a long time. A special resolution recognizing the 19th annual Breakfast with Santa. Whereas in the past, many local businesses and individuals have hosted a special event known as Breakfast with Santa, and whereas this annual occasion has given much joy to over 53,000 children and their families to date since its inception. And whereas the 2017 Breakfast with Santa will be held Saturday, December 16th, so mark it on your calendars if you're in Wayne Township and you're a family that has an it's passed.
We'll make it happen.
Okay. See, Trustee Harris, stepping up again. It'll be Saturday, December the 19th from 9 a.m. until noon at the Chapel Hill 7th and 8th grade Learning Center, West 10th Street and Girls School Road. Whereas Breakfast with Santa for this year's event Breakfast with Santa sponsors for this year's event include, Steak and Shake Restaurants, CEO Sardar Biglari, Wayne Township Fire Department, Wayne Township Trustee's Office, Trustee Andy Harris, Toys for Tots, U.S. Marine Corps, Dean Foods, CEO Tom Davis, MSD Wayne Township, Engaging Solutions, Southside Landfill, Rod Perkins, Claremont Lions Club, Ben Davis Lions Club, Speedway Lions Club, Chapel Hill Lions Club, Walmart, Anthem Blue Cross, City County Councilwoman Marilyn Feaster, Janice McHenry, and Maggie Lewis, and for which thank you very much, both of you. And the Marion County Sheriff's Office, John Layton, Big Lots and Costumes by Margie, now therefore.
Be it resolved by the City County Council of the City of Indianapolis and of Marion County, Indiana. Section 1, the Indianapolis City County Council recognizes and commends all who make the annual Breakfast with Santa event possible. Andy Harris, Chairman of Breakfast with Santa and Wayne Township Trustee. Heather Rice, Administrator of Breakfast with Santa. Staff Sergeant Justin T. Glass of the United States Marines, Toys for Tots, and the Breakfast with Santa Committee. Susan Scott, Becky Vway, Jamie Meredith, and Gwen Simmons, in memory of Chris and Vicki Walker and Marshall Lewis, co-original founders of this event. Section 2, for all of the time, expense, and energy that goes into planning and hosting this breakfast for the children, a sweet smile from a little child at Christmas is all the reward necessary for a job very well done. Section 3, the mayor is invited to join in this resolution by affixing his signature here too.
Section 4, this resolution shall be in full force and effect upon adoption and compliance with Indiana Code 36-3-4-14. This special resolution was sponsored by Councilors Feaster, McHenry, Evans, and Lewis, and was passed after the vote by the City County Council this 4th day of December. And Madam President, I so move.
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries back to the speakers.
Thank you. This is a huge event. There will probably be 2,000 children coming through the 7th and 8th grade center on the 15th of December, and they will all, 16th, I'm sorry, thank you. December the 16th, and they will get a free breakfast. Every child will get a toy. They will get to see Santa, and they will really have a great time. It takes a lot of time to organize this, and that was why the counselors and I wanted to recognize the folks who do such a good job to serve Wayne Township children. So I would like to give the crew, the team, a chance to speak.
Again, we're just grateful to take over this here about 7 years ago for Marshall. His health, as many of you know, was failing him, and he did a great job, and we've continued that, and we work hard, and it's really humbling when you hear a child say, "I'm not going to eat a cold bowl of cereal. I get to eat all the eggs, bacon, sausage, biscuits and gravy I can eat." I mean, when you hear that, that's very humbling, folks, and it's an honor for all of us to get to do that and continue to do it, and a lot of kids come through that door. So if you just want to come and just see how it works, take it to your community. We encourage you to do that. So thank you, everybody.
The next item on our agenda is proposal number 302, refer to Admin and Finance Committee. Chairman Simpson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Proposal number 302, 2017, appoint Marilyn Feaster to the City County Audit Committee. Councilor Feaster was in attendance at the Administration and Finance Committee meeting on Tuesday, November 14th, 2017, and was available for questions. A couple of us wanted to know if she lived in Marion County and what was her attendance rate. And she answered all in the affirmative that she was good in all of them. So the proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 8-0. Madam President, I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. The proposal carries 23-0. The next item on our agenda is introduction of proposals. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam President. Proposal number 346, introduced by Councilor Lewis, referred to the Administration and Finance Committee, reappoints Leroy Robinson to the City County Audit Committee. Proposal numbers 347 through 362, all refer to the Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Proposal numbers 347 through 352, all introduced by Councilors Osley and Lewis. Proposal number 347 reappoints Brian Barton to the Property Tax Assessment Board of Appeals. Proposal number 348 reappoints Kathy Gould to the Property Tax Assessment Board of Appeals. Proposal number 349 reappoints Lena Hackett to the Metropolitan Development Commission. Proposal number 350 reappoints Adam Kirsch to the Metropolitan Development Commission. Proposal number 351 reappoints John Lewis to the Metropolitan Development Commission. Proposal number 352 reappoints William Selm to the Metropolitan Development Commission. Proposal number 353, introduced by Councilors Osley and McQuillan, reappoints John Scott Keller to the Indianapolis Housing Agency Board of Directors. Proposal number 354, introduced by Councilor Adamson, reappoints Linda Gilkerson to the Woodruff Place Economic Improvement Board. Proposal number 355 through 358, all introduced by Councilor Adamson. Proposal number 355 reappoints Charlie Neal to the Woodruff Place Economic Improvement Board. Proposal number 356 appoints Paul Russell to the Woodruff Place Economic Improvement Board. Proposal number 357 approves the 2018 budget of the Woodruff Place Economic Improvement District. Proposal number 358 approves the amounts, locations, and programmatic operation of certain projects to be funded by community development grant funds. Proposal number 359, introduced by Councilor Lewis, approves total expenditures of $1,282,000 $6,750 for calendar year 2018 for Community Revitalization Enhancement District Creed funds for various improvements benefiting the Lafayette Square Creed, AKA International Marketplace. Proposal number 360, introduced by Counselor Holliday, approves the statement of benefits for Kraft Mark Bakery LLC, an applicant for tax abatement for property located in an economic revitalization area. Proposal number 361, introduced by Counselor Evans, approves the statement of benefits for Federal Express Corporation, an applicant for tax abatement for property located in an economic revitalization area. Proposal number 362, introduced by Counselor Osley, approves the statement of benefits for Life OMIC Incorporated, an applicant for tax abatement for property located in an economic revitalization area. Proposal numbers 363 through 365, I'll refer to the Municipal Corporations Committee. Proposal number 363, introduced by Councilors Lewis and Gray, reappoints Joyce Rogers to the Marion County Health and Hospital Corporation Board of Trustees. Proposal number 364, introduced by Councilors Gray and Lewis, reappoints Gregory Bedon to the Indianapolis Public Transportation Corporation Board of Directors. Proposal number 365, introduced by Councilor Gray, approves the issuance of refunding notes in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $3,200,000 for the Capital Improvement Board of Managers of Marion County. Proposal numbers 366 through 381, I'll refer to the Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Proposal number 366, introduced by Councilors Lewis and Robinson, reappoints Brian Toohey to the Marion County Public Defender Board. Proposal number 367, introduced by Councilors Robinson and Lewis, reappoints Brandon Randall to the Juvenile Detention Center Advisory Board. Proposal number 368, introduced by Councilors Robinson and Scales, reappoints Jason DeArmond to the Citizens Police Complaint Board. Proposal numbers 369 through 372, all introduced by Councilors Robinson and Lewis. Proposal number 369 reappoints Jennifer Norton to the Citizens Police Complaint Board. Proposal number 370 reappoints Bill Moreau to the Rubin Engagement Center Board. Proposal number 371 reappoints Linnea Redmond Williams to the Rubin Engagement Center Board. Proposal number 372 reappoints Johnny Underwood to the Rubin Engagement Center Board. Proposal numbers 373 through 378, all introduced by Councilor Robinson. Proposal number 373 reappoints Casey Banks to the Domestic Violence Fatality Review Team. Proposal number 374 reappoints Carolyn Fisher to the Domestic Violence Fatality Review Team. Proposal number 376 reappoints Kay Sue Leonard to the Domestic Violence Fatality Review Team. Proposal number 377 reappoints Kelly McBride to the Domestic Violence Fatality Review Team. Proposal number 378 reappoints Michael Medler to the Domestic Violence Fatality Review Team. Proposal numbers 379 through 381, all introduced by Councilors Robinson and Lewis. Proposal number 379 reappoints Jeffrey Catlett to the Early Intervention Planning Council. Proposal number 380 reappoints Blake Johnson to the Early Intervention Planning Council. Proposal number 381 reappoints Marilyn Feaster to the Early Intervention Planning Council. Proposal numbers 382 and 383, introduced by Councilors Osley and Lewis, referred to the Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Proposal number 382 appoints Stacy Hurley to the Animal Services Advisory Board. Proposal number 383 appoints Christian Mossberg to the Animal Services Advisory Board. Proposal number 384, introduced by Councilors Clay, Simpson, and Oliver, referred to the Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee, approves an additional appropriation of $300,000 in the 2018 budget of the Marion County Prosecutor's Office County General Fund to cover the cost of witness protection. Proposal number 385 through 394, I'll refer to the Public Works Committee. Proposal number 385, introduced by Councilor Adamson, approves intersection controls at Oakland and Nolan Avenue in District 17. Proposal number 386, introduced by Councilors Oliver, Osley, and Adamson, authorizes a change in parking restrictions on Central Avenue from 34th Street to 11th Streets in Districts 9, 11, and 17. Proposal number 387, introduced by Councilor Osley, authorizes parking restrictions on 24th Street between Illinois and Meridian Streets in District 11. Proposal number 388, introduced by Councilor Oliver, authorizes intersection controls at Linton Lane and Thornley Drive in District 9. Proposal number 389, introduced by Councilor Osley, authorizes parking restrictions on Park Avenue near East 23rd Street in District 11. Proposal number 390, introduced by Councilor Cordy, authorizes a speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour in the Trayburn Green, Trayburn Lakes, and Trayburn Manor subdivisions in District 18. Proposal number 391, introduced by Counselor Ray, authorizes a speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour in the Washington Trail subdivision in District 19. Proposal number 392, introduced by Counselor Robinson, authorizes intersection controls at Waldemar Road and 94th Street in District 1. Proposal number 393, introduced by Counselor Osley, authorizes intersection controls at Gent Avenue and 19th Street in District 11. Proposal number 394, introduced by Counselor Mascari, authorizes intersection controls at Boyd Avenue and Finley Avenue in District 21. Proposal numbers 395 and 396, both referred to the Rules and Public Policy Committee. Proposal number 395, introduced by Counselor Johnson, confirms the mayor's appointment nomination of Ann Nobles to the City County Ethics Commission. Proposal number 396, introduced by Counselor Lewis, reappoints Barbara Howard to the Alcoholic Beverage Board of Marion County. Madam President, this concludes the introduction of proposals.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next item on our agenda is Special Orders Priority Business. Proposal number 345, referred to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairman Osley.
Thank you, Madam President. Proposal number 345 authorizes the issuance of economic development tax increment revenue bonds in an amount not to exceed $4.2 million to Goodwill of Central and Southern Indiana to finance a portion of the funds for the acquisition, construction, and equipping of a 4-story building, including 208 workforce housing apartment units, on-site parking for tenants, a fitness center, outdoor recreational facilities known as the Goodwill Riverview Project at Michigan Street and White River Parkway. Applicants were alerted that the committee had made a pledge that it would be reluctant to support anything that does not pay livable wages. And the applicants were asked that if 2 of their employees that were scheduled to make $10.47 per hour could be paid at a minimum of $12 an hour. Mr. Zink, who was one of the presenters that evening from Strategic Capital Partners, stated that they were willing to make that commitment at this time. Jeff Bennett, Deputy Mayor of Community Development, stated the city has been looking for a way to finance mixed income and affordable housing without using tax credits, and hopes that the council will support this proposal. Councilor Adamson moved, seconded by Councilor Evans, to send proposal number 345 to the full council with a due pass recommendation, and the motion carried by a vote of 7-0. Madam President, I so move.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Comments from councilors. Councilor Miller.
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, I'm very excited about this project, very happy to co-sponsor it. It's in the Stringtown neighborhood. I can tell you the neighborhood is extremely in support of it. This will be transformational for them. This is also part of transforming our river. This is right on the riverfront, and we've talked a lot about activating the river, and this is a big part of it, and I really like the workforce housing element. I appreciate Chairman Osley's focus on both livable wages for anything that's receiving tax incentives, but also in finding ways to make sure that people can, of all income levels, can actually enjoy the benefits of these projects. I hope everyone will support it. Thank you, Madam President.
Vice President Adamson.
Thank you, Madam President. And I want to just echo of something I had made mention of on social media, and to thank Chairman Osley for the work that he does on the committee, constantly working to ensure that groups that are receiving incentives through the city are paying living wages for their employees, and it really means a lot to a lot of people, and I just wanted to give another hat tip to you there, sir.
Additional comments? Chairman Simpson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Council Osley, can you, where it says include 208 workforce housing apartment units, is that how many units? 208?
Correct. 208 at between 60 and 120% area median income.
So,
So all of them will be affordable.
affordable, are they single unit, I mean, for efficiencies or something like that? Or?
They range from efficiencies to 2 bedrooms.
Okay, thank you.
Additional comments? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. The proposal carries. The proposal carries 23-1. The next item on our agenda is proposals number 399 through 408 are all rezoning proposals certified for approval by the Metropolitan Development Commission on November 22nd, 2017. If no councilors wishes to call down any of those proposals, they will pass into law. Does anyone wish to call down any of those proposals for reconsideration? Seeing none, they will pass into law. Proposal number 409 is a rezoning proposal certified for denial by the Metropolitan Development Commission on November 22nd. If no councilors wish to call down that proposal for reconsideration, that denial will stand. Does anyone wish to call down that proposal? Seeing none, the denial will stand. We'll proceed to special orders public hearing. Proposal number 202, refer to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairman Osley.
Thank you, Madam President. Proposal number 202 adds a new chapter to the code regarding allocation of property taxes paid on property transferred by certain entities. This follows on the land bank revenue legislation from the state, Senate Bill 310. And it's the first long-term state-enabled source of funding exclusively for land banking, and allows the Department of Metropolitan Development to receive 50% of the property taxes collected from properties sold out of the land bank for 5 years. Other states have this, Michigan being one, and it was introduced to the council in July of 2017. Some amendments have been made since that time, and those include removing land bank as the transferring entity and establishing that only the Department of Metropolitan Development can directly receive the revenue, and establishing a non-reverting land bank for transparency, hard maintenance and upkeep costs, and caps the fund balance at the end of any given year at $1 million. The fiscal impact in 2015, from 2015 land bank sales, would generate approximately $45,000 in total tax liability, 50% of which would go to the Department of Metropolitan Development, being $22,500, and 50% distributed to the taxing units. We would begin to see revenue deposited in 2020, with the council appropriating the first dollars in the following year, in the following budget year of 2021. Councilor Kreider stated that, or asked, what happens if $1 million is exceeded in the amount of revenue. And CFO Brown stated that at any time the balance exceeds the $1 million, any property taxes collected would stay with the treasurer and therefore go towards those units of government, to our units of government. Councilor Robinson moved, seconded by Councilor Kreider, to amend the proposal, as previously stated, of Proposal 202. The motion carried by a vote of 6-0. Councilor Adamson moved, seconded by Councilor Kreider, to send Proposal 202 as amended to the full council with the due pass as amended recommendation, and that carried by a vote of 6-0. Madam President, I so move.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Councilor Miller.
Thank you, Madam President. Also very happy to co-sponsor this proposal, and everything Councilor Osley said was perfectly stated, but I want to put a little color around this. Renew Indianapolis manages the land bank property for the city, and when Mayor Hogsett took office, there was some doubt as to whether it was going to stay around, what its focus would be. Mayor Hogsett not only helped keep it going, but has made it an incredible benefit to our city. You might have seen an announcement where 100 homes have now been sold by Renew Indianapolis. And keep in mind, these are abandoned homes that are blights in our neighborhoods. And through his vision and in supporting Renew Indianapolis, 100 have been done and 130 will be done by year's end. What this proposal does is helps find sustainable funding for that organization. We will not be able to fix up our neighborhoods unless we find ways to sustain these organizations. So I really appreciate Councilor Osley's effort on this, and I really appreciate the mayor's as well, his vision for our neighborhoods. Thank you, Madam President.
Councilor Kreider.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to say, as I did in committee, I'm happy to support this now that it has been amended.
Additional comments? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to Proposal 202?
Larry Vaughn, please, prisonplanet.com. You know, the power to tax is the power to destroy. When you're taking tax dollars and making our agencies more predatory behind that, The land bank is a predatory entity now that's out in search of making a profit. That's not the way a city operates. It's supposed to operate at cost, not to go out and prey on unfortunate people who have fell on hard times. So I just think you're going to see more of this as we move toward 2020, when corporations are going to be absolved from paying any taxes whatever. So that's what we're headed for. We're headed for a period of time now when corporations are going to be paid to settle in an area and exploit the population without buying in or paying 1 cent in taxes. So this is just another example, you people listening at home, of what we have coming in the future. And notice how it starts in 2020. So I think our land bank has been turned into a predatory entity because of this situation that we have on this proposal. And it's also that everything is done in this chamber is done at gunpoint. That is what's going to happen. Thank you.
Additional comments? Anyone in the audience, anyone else in the audience wishes to speak to Proposal 202? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our votes. The proposal carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 296, refer to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairman Osili.
Thank you, Madam President. Proposal number 296 approves an additional appropriation of $155,333 in the 2017 budget of the Marion County Recorder through the ID Security Protection Fund to cover costs associated with a process change in a contract for recording software. Chris Becker, the Deputy Recorder, presented the following findings. The Recorder's Office renewed its contract with Fiddler Technologies effective June the 1st of this year. There was an increase in contract expenses, but the service provided more accurate reporting of revenue and expenses. The 2018 budget will reflect total revenue and total expenses. So the additional appropriation of the $155,333 from Identification Security Protection Fund is needed to cover the expenses for 2017. The contract expenses were reviewed by ISA prior to renewal, and the reporting of total revenue and total expenses provides greater transparency and accountability for the department. Mr. Becker stated that these expenses were never in their budget for 2017, so they're asking to be paid with this appropriation. Councilor Fanning asked if they did not know that they would have to renew the contract in the middle of the year when they did their budget, and Mr. Becker stated that there was a miscommunication from the vendor and purchasing, and they thought the contract was renewable in 2018. Councilor Fanning also asked why they had to do an appropriation versus just simply transferring monies from the Enhanced Access Fund, and Mr. Brown, CFO Brown, stated that the Enhanced Access Fund is only for grants and not for ongoing operations. Councilor Adamson moves, seconded by Councilor Robinson, to send proposal number 296 to the full council with a due pass recommendation, and the motion carried by a vote of 6-0. Madam President, I so move.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to Proposal 296?
Larry Bond, please. If we don't have enough talented people that we can hire and have on staff here in our city to conduct our business as far as technology is concerned, and have to go out and deal with deceitful contractors that can up their price at any time and keep our information held hostage if we don't pay the price, then we need to rethink what we're doing. This city has the talent, although I did read an article that said that our schools were, that the state of Indiana was 45th in the ability to supply a workforce, and I don't know why. There's some reason behind that. We'll discuss that later. But I think this city, moving into the future, should have their own tech section. They should hire people, pay them a salary to conduct their technical business, and not have to depend on the deceitfulness of contractors that come in and can change their contract and their prices at any time and hold our information hostage and be predatory on this city. So I just think we need to stop going outside of the city and get more people locally here in-house to conduct our technical business going into the future.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to Proposal 296? Additional comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. The proposal carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 298, refer to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairman Osley.
Thank you, Madam President. Proposal number 298 approves an additional appropriation of $135,000 in the 2017 budget of the Department of Business and Neighborhood Services from the Consolidated County General Fund to pay wages and benefits of 4 additional staff to Indianapolis's Animal Care Services. Katie Trenopole, Deputy Director of BNS, made the following points. The requested additional staff from the controller were based on best practices from other shelters and allows for 15 minutes of staff care per animal per day. 4 new positions were approved earlier this year, April of 2017, 3 of whom were senior animal care technicians and 1 veterinary assistant. These funds will cover wages and benefits through the end of 2017, and all 4 positions are included in the 2018 budget. Improvements since the addition of the 4 positions include overtime costs projected to be cut by nearly 40%, increase in quality of care the staff provides for each animal, increasing the amount of time that they're able to spend with each animal. Staff is able to get the animals out on a more regular basis. And between May to November of 2017, adoptions are up 16% compared to the same period in 2016. Councilor Fanning thanked BNS for getting the shelters up to best practice standards. And Councilor Adamson stated that he hopes this will continue this trend to get the staff more robust. Councilor Adamson moved, seconded by Councilor Kreider, to send Proposal 298 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. And the motion carried by a vote of 6-0. Madam President, I so move.
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Vice President Adamson.
Thank you, Madam President. As Chairman Osley said, this is a really important step in the right direction. I appreciate both BNS and Animal Care Services for finding the money and the revenue to pay for these extra staff persons. We still need a number of animal care officers on the street. There's still a lot of unanswered phone calls from the public. Hopefully in 2018 budget going into 2019, we can find the money to properly staff that department. Thank you.
Additional comments from councilors? Councilor McHenry.
Thank you, Madam President. I've got a question, and I fully agree that we need the additional staff. I mean, there's no question on that. I agree with Councilor Adamson. There's been a lot of calls that go unanswered and a lot of problems that are not solved. But if we're doing an additional appropriation of $135,000 right now, which we have less than 4 weeks left of the year, dividing that by 4 people, that's $33,000 for 1 month for salaries and benefits per person?
Sorry, if I may answer. Yes, the positions were established April the 13th of this year, so it's not for 1 month.
Okay, so they were not funded previously to
Correct.
this?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I was kind of thinking, wait a minute. Okay, thank you.
Additional comments? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to Proposal 298?
Hey, there's a real problem here in some neighborhoods of feral chickens running around, and they roost on your car and everything and make a mess, you know? They need to have some kind of chicken rescue organization going on. Think you could do anything about that?
Else in the audience that wishes to speak to Proposal number 298? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for a vote. The proposal carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 307, refer to Admin and Finance Committee. Chairman Simpson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Proposal number 307, 2017, approve a transfer of $600,000 and additional appropriation of $279,334 in the 2017 budget of Information Agency Information Services Enhanced Access Funds to cover new technology project for the Department of Metropolitan Development and the Election Board, and to cover the cost of the enterprise storage solution. ISA CFO Patrick Elliott appeared before the Administration and Finance Committee on Tuesday, November 14th, and explained this will provide funds for 2 technology projects, one for DMD, the continuation of their digitalization project, and one for the Election Board for a new election management software called Poll Chief. A transfer of $600,000 is also included for ISA in order to provide for a short-term renewal payment for their enterprise storage solution while they continue to evaluate the need for enterprise before selling on a purchase of a new solution package. Marion County Clerk Myra Eldridge was on hand and answered questions regarding the new Poll Chief software and how it will increase efficiency and transparency, including more transparent campaign finance. Passed out of committee by a vote to 8-0. Madam President, I so move.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to Proposal 307?
This is another example where we're taking a loss on the technical side of things. Just think how nice it would be if this city would educate and groom a technical force to work on our computers, to deal with our data problems, and to also vet our software before we employ it, so that we would not get it 1 year and then be back in this room trying to update it on the next hand. The world of high tech has turned into a predatory industry. They have all type of new startup companies who have software, who have programs that they're selling to cities across this nation that they get involved in and then change the game and hold our information hostage, and we will end up paying that fee. So I just think in the future, we need to examine at least and think about having our own in-house technical situation to serve our agencies and be honest and not deceitful. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak to Proposal 307? Additional comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for a vote. Mr. Majority Leader. The proposal carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 312, refer to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Chairman Robinson.
Thank you, Madam President. Proposal 312, 2017 approves an additional appropriation of $7,618,460 in the 2017 budget of the Marion County Sheriff to cover retiree health insurance and overtime costs and expenses for inmate housing and medical care costs carried over from 2016. Barbara Lawrence, CFO for the Marion County Sheriff's Office, stated that they are requesting $3.2 million in Character 1 to cover costs related to overtime and retiree health insurance benefits, which was originally budgeted in Character 3. She also stated that they are requesting $4.38 million in Character 3 to cover costs associated with 2017 shortfall from 2016, carryover expenses related to jail beds and facility management, as well as inmate medical care. Colonel Louis Deslin of the Marion County Sheriff's Office stated that most of the costs are associated with the increase in the inmate population. He stated that the House and Road Act 1006 were not in effect. The jail population would be well below capacity. He also stated that an average of 131 inmates in other counties per day, which cost the office $30 to $40, 30 to 40 per diem per inmate. Councilor Simpson moves, seconded by Councilor Mascari, to send proposal 312 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. Motion carried by a vote of 10-0. Madam President, I so move.
Second. The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Councilor Coates.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to ask a question. If there is anyone from the Sheriff's Department here tonight?
I'm not sure if there. Okay, there is. Go ahead and state your question as they're making their way forward, please.
Yeah, and this is something we discussed in committee, but for the sake of others who weren't in attendance that night, just detail for us how we're going to avoid the overage on inmate housing on the Jail 2 contract in the future.
Please state your name and your position.
My name's Louis Deslin. I'm a colonel with the Marion County Sheriff's Office. Could you repeat the question, Counselor, please?
Yeah, the 4.3 for inmate housing, that's from overage of previous year's billing, is my understanding. How are we going to avoid this in the future? We were told in committee that we'll be able to start January 1st with a clean slate. We'll be all caught up with the bills for the Jail 2 contract. How are we going to avoid getting back in the same
Well,
position in the
as
future?
was stated, there are multiple factors here that are outside of the sheriff's control. The House Enrolled Act 1006 has had a dramatic impact on us in that we've been averaging about 300 of those inmates every day for this year. And then there's roughly another 100 inmates over that amount, different from previous years, that were experienced just because of the rise of crime and the number of arrests that we've had. We have been budgeted each year enough to take care of Character 3, but we've always had to catch up from the previous year. This started several years ago, and most of the damage that we have in our budget comes from in Character 3 because of the contract with CoreCivic, because of the, and then on top of that, we have housed up to 300 inmates in other counties because of the overage in the local jails. So all of that's had a dramatic impact on us. With this with these additional funds, we anticipate that damage won't happen next year in Character 3. However, I have to say that we have asked for some time for increases for the deputies. They make we have a very difficult time filling the deputy jobs, and when the staffing numbers go down in the jail, and the fact that there are more inmates to take care of, we have to get more people in on overtime. That has caused the damage in Character 1. We cannot guarantee that there won't be some difficulties in Character 1 because of overtime, because the salaries have not gone up, and we expect that we will have difficulty hiring a sufficient number of deputies to cover those positions. However, I do have to say that Sheriff Layton has been very creative in creating new kinds of positions in the jail. One of those, an example, is the detention deputies, who are deputies who only had law enforcement powers while they're working in the jail. Their salaries are lower. We've had some success in hiring those individuals, but it's still very difficult to have people come in and work in the jail with those salaries. However, with this catch-up this year, we think that we will not suffer those same difficulties in Character 3 with the CoreCivic contract. Another big impact on us is just the cost of inmate health care. We've spent millions of dollars for the last several years, in each of the last several years, providing health care for inmates. This will help us to catch up with that contract with Correct Care Solutions, who take care of the health care of our inmates.
Councilor McHenry.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a question. I know at our last Public Works meeting, they came before us and were requesting more money for this year, and I brought up the question of what would happen if we would have a terrific snowstorm, a blizzard, a flood, other natural disasters such as a tornado or high winds, and how would we pay for it, or would we have to come back and ask for more money if something like that happened? And could we pay for it out of the next year's budget? And we were told that you couldn't carry over from this year, 2017, and draw out of 2018's budget. So how come this is coming from 2016? How can the Sheriff's Department carry over from a 2016 budget, and Public Works would not be able to carry over if we had a snowstorm the last week in December?
Councilor McHenry, understanding that these folks are from the Sheriff's Office, and so I'm not going to ask them to respond about a DPW comment. I understand where you're going, so I'm going to ask our CFO, or if there's someone from the administration that can respond better.
Yeah, because I'm not going from a DPW aspect. I am going strictly from how can one department do it and another department cannot.
Exactly. So again, I'm going to have our CFO to respond, or maybe someone from the administration, versus asking them to respond to that question.
Madam
Mr.
President.
Brown?
I think the difference here is the situation scenario you just shared, dealing with personnel costs for overtime. The sheriff, we're talking about a contract, so that's character 3. So we can carry over bills, contract costs from one year and carry it over to the next year and pay. For personnel services, we cannot. So if we did have a snowstorm and late in December and the individuals worked in 2017, we have to use 2017 to pay dollars to pay them. If it's a contract character 3, and for instance DPW contracted for snow removal, they could actually carry those bills over to 2018. But when it comes to our staff, we have to use the current budget for the year or the time they worked.
But overtime cost is mentioned in this proposal.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's part of this, but I think Councilor Coates was talking directly on the contract for Jail 2. Those are the only bills that were carried over. There were no overtime was ever carried over from one year to another in the sheriff's budget or any other budget.
Okay, then the way this reads is very misleading because it looks like it is.
The digest a lot of times is devoid of a lot of facts that comes out during the committee meeting.
And that's why we have the minutes, so that if, just in case the digest really doesn't explain what's happening, go back and pull your minutes and gather that information from there as well. Additional comments from councilors. Councilor Gray.
Yes, Madam President. I see that some of this is pertaining to medical costs and inmate housing. I was under the impression that going into 2018 that we would no longer be paying for inmate medicals and transportation.
Oh, I think you're referring to Medicare reimbursement, that we would be helped with Medicare reimbursement. That does not cover any health care needs for inmates who are in the jail. The only time they can, if we can get them enrolled in Medicaid, they are not eligible for that unless they're outside of the jail in a hospital. And so we're incurring some of those costs for what we call off-site care in the hospital, but anything that happens in the jail, it's not covered by that program.
So do you have to provide them with protection or something whenever they leave the jail and go to the hospital?
Do we have to provide them with protection?
Yeah.
Well, we have a staff at the jail that if somebody is in the hospital, they do watch those individuals if that's necessary.
But wasn't that part of the new deal that you was going to eliminate staff at the hospital?
Well, that's part of the sheriff's plan, but that has not occurred yet. The tentative plan right now is that would begin in January. But that's just the cost of paying a deputy to be at the hospital. It's not tied to health care for the inmates.
But you wouldn't send them there for health care if you didn't have protection, right?
Well, there will be protection. We're just asking that the arresting agency is responsible for the protection of the inmates. If the inmate comes from the jail to the hospital, we would provide that protection. If they're arrested and taken to the hospital, we're asking that the arresting agency has that responsibility.
Councilor Westler. Councilor Oliver.
Yes, on Jail 2, do we have any responsibility paying the bills over at Jail 2?
Their health care is included in the contract at Jail 2. So the health care the inmates receive in Jail 2 is rolled into the CoreCivic contract.
Into their contract?
Yes.
And we don't pay any expenses?
Well, if the inmate, the contract with CoreCivic says if the inmate is in need of medical care outside at the hospital, after 48 hours, that reverts back to the sheriff.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's rolled into the contract.
Okay.
But all the health care inside of that jail is part of the contract.
Okay. Thank you.
Additional comments from councilors? Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to Proposal 312?
Larry Vaughn, please. PrisonPlanet.com. The public safety in this city is in a state of flux, and it's partially because of the CHINS program introduced during the 90s by Bill Crawford and shepherded through our state legislature, it has turned the state of Indiana into a junkie factory. The sheriff cannot choose who comes to his jail. These people are out here, they're hooked on heroin and other drugs, or maybe some pharmaceutical, that they don't have any choice when they don't have any money except to come to jail, and they're not going to get any treatment there. So we need to look in another direction, because public safety is not going to be able to fund the flood tide of junkies that's getting ready to come to them. So we need to consider some other alternative for people that we know who have been classified in the CHINS program, who have been what they call chinsed over and forced to take dope at gunpoint. If they don't take it, they will be forced to take it. If they have parents that say Johnny doesn't need to be on Prozac or some other opioid, it's at gunpoint. You don't have any choice. So we need to really consider the core of our problem. We can never escape what the Indiana State Legislature forces on cities throughout the state. They force this opioid problem. They force the heroin problem. Why? Because the state of Indiana is a junkie factory. That's what it is. I've studied it over the last 30 years, going from the State House to these chambers here. They've set up a situation in this state where dope is forced at gunpoint, even on innocent preschoolers. So that's our problem right now.
Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak to Proposal 312? Seeing none, we'll proceed to our board for our vote. The proposal carries 22-2. The next item on our agenda is Proposal 314, refer to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Chairman Robinson.
Thank you, Madam President. Proposal 314, 2017, approves an additional appropriation of $575,000 in the 2017 budget of the Marion County Prosecutor and a corresponding reduction of appropriations for the amount of $575,000 in the Deferral Program Fee Fund to shift reliance between the funds to cover employees' salaries and benefits for the remainder of 2017. Sharnette Garner, Chief Counsel of the Marion County Prosecutor's Office, stated that they are not requesting more money, rather they are requesting a shift in reliance in the Deferral Program Fee Fund to cover the general fund and a transfer of $575 funding from Character 2 and 3 to Character 1. Ms. Garner stated that the requests are necessary to cover employee salaries and fringes and shift reliance in the Deferral Program Fee Fund due to insufficient fund balance. Councilor Simpson moves, seconded by Councilor Oliver, to send Proposal 314 to the full council. They do pass recommendation. The motion carried by a vote of 10-0. Madam President, I so move.
The motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Councilor Miller?
Thank you, Madam President. To avoid any appearance of impropriety, I am recusing myself from any issue involving the Marion County Prosecutor's Office until further notice. I'll be happy to repeat this again for Proposals 308 and 309 if necessary. Thank you, Madam President.
Granted. Additional comments from councilors? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to Proposal 314?
Larry Vaughn, Prison Planet. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we have a problem. We have a problem that the prosecutor has said on several occasions that they will overlook a Class C felony if you are caught with a needle in your arm and another package in your
Mr. Vaughn,
pocket.
that's not.
This is about their budget, ma'am.
I know, but please do not put out false information like that.
That's the truth. They
No,
said
it's-
it was
Mr.
on-
Vaughn?
It's on tape.
Mr. Vaughn, thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak to Proposal 314? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. The proposal carries 23-0. The next item on our agenda is Proposal Number 315, refer to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Chairman Robinson.
Thank you, Madam President. Proposal 315, 2017, approves an additional appropriation of $17,100 in the 2017 budget of the County General Fund and a corresponding reduction of appropriations in the amount of $17,100 in the County Cumulative Capital Improvement Fund to build out for the special counsel officer to provide secure access for judicial staff to the courtroom. Cheryl Lynch, judge of the Marion County Circuit Court, stated that the proposal covers costs associated with the space build-out for the special counsel office and for installation of a locked security counter to help prevent individuals from walking into the offices of judicial staff, as well as provide the staff with secure access to the courtroom. Mr. Hotmiller stated that they are reducing the county general fund by $17,100 and moving it to the county community capital improvement fund to fund the remodel. Councilor Simpson moved, seconded by Councilor Scales, to send proposal 315 to the full council. They do pass recommendation. Motion carried by a vote of 10-0. Madam President, I so move.
The motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to Proposal 315? Additional comments from councilors? Seeing none, proceed to the board for our vote. The proposal carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 316, refer to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Chairman Robinson.
Thank you, Madam President. Proposal 316, 2017, approves an additional appropriation and transfer of $84,240 in the 2017 budget of the Marion County Public Defender Agency to purchase panel system workspaces for additional TPR CHINS teams and for reimbursement of expenses for capital and life without parole cases. Robert Hill, Chief Public Defender of the Marion County Public Defender Agency, stated that a little over half of the requests will be used in reimbursement for major case expenditures, and the remaining dollars will be used to costs associated with the workspace to accommodate the expansion of the termination of parental rights and CHINS teams. Deborah Green, COO, stated that the transfer of funds from Character 1 comes from savings associated with basic staff turnover. She added that the reimbursements are the final expenses left on their capital cases. Councilor Simpson moved, seconded by Councilor Muscari, to send proposal 316 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. Motion carried by a vote of 9-0. Madam President, I so move.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to proposal 316?
I will just talk about the CHINS program. The CHINS program is here in the state of Indiana. It's here for one purpose, to sell as much dope as possible and to get as many children.
Point of order.
Mr. Vaughn, again, please do not put out false information like that. If you have comments, please make sure that they are about proposal 316. If not, please have a seat.
Well, I'm just saying, you're here appropriating money for a losing game, because the more you pay them, the more victims they're going to victimize and prey on, even with your guardian ad litem program, where a 5-year-old child can be convicted of a felony when the guardian ad litem stands with him. So I just think that we're going down the wrong path here. We're going down a path that's been set up by our state legislature to force these situations onto even preschoolers.
Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak to proposal 316? Additional comments from councilors? Councilor Kreider.
Thank you, Madam President. I would just note that we have in the past done additional appropriation for additional teams for this program, and they obviously need the space to work out of, so I think we should support this evening.
Thank you. Additional comments? Seeing none, proceed to the board for our vote. The proposal carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 318, refer to Public Works Committee. Chairman Adamson.
Thank you, Madam President. Proposal number 318 approves an additional appropriation of $1,528,000 in the 2017 budget of the Department of Public Works and Transportation General and Solid Waste Collection General Funds to fulfill projected personnel costs through the end of 2017. Nicole Hewlett, CFO of DPW, stated that they are asking for approval for an additional appropriation to DPW's 2017 budget in their Transportation General Fund of $762,000 and in the Solid Waste Collection General Fund of $766,000. She said this is to cover their personnel expenses through the end of 2017. The chair asked if this is primarily overtime. Ms. Hewlett answered in the affirmative. Director Parker said that for 2017, their overtime spend is $1.8 million because their fleet services division did have about $331,000 budgeted for overtime. He said that is primarily related to their operations and solid waste division. Chair stated that it appears that the overtime dollars in totality have gone down over the last 2 years, and the director answered in the affirmative. Councilor Oliver asked if this committee can take a serious look at the fees for services that DPW provides. Councilor Gray moved, seconded by Councilor Oliver, to send Proposal 318, 2017 to the full council with a due pass recommendation, and that motion carried by a vote of 8-0, and I so move.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to Proposal 318? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. The proposal carries 24-0. There is no business under special orders, unfinished business. We'll proceed to special orders final adoption. Proposal number 276, refer to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairman Osili.
Thank you, Madam President. Proposal number 276 approves the Metropolitan Development Commission's resolution terminating the Tibbs Avenue redevelopment area and allocation area. Director Mack and CFO Carr gave a brief presentation. The area was created in 2007 to assist with the redevelopment of the Rolls-Royce property. The 2007 redevelopment plan stated that the tax increment financing was created to phase out incompatible structures and land uses, support and stimulate growth of new industrial development, support infrastructure improvements, support advanced manufacturing and jobs, and generate $125 million in capital improvements, 150 new jobs, and 4,000 retained jobs. The TIF activity to date, total collected between 2007 and 2017, $445,000. The total pass-through in that same time frame has been $816,000. The current balance, zero. A tax abatement was granted to Rolls-Royce in 2007 and 2015, and therefore the TIF has not been utilized as a redevelopment tool. The purpose of this proposal is to ensure that the TIF the TIF is not the right development tool for this site. Tax abatement was utilized rather than TIF increment, and it is a responsible and proactive stewardship of our TIFs. Councilor Adamson moved, seconded by Councilor Fanning, to send proposal number 276 to the full council with a due pass recommendation, and the motion carried by a vote of 6-0. Madam President, I so move.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Councilor Miller.
To restate what Chairman Osili said, we're shutting down a TIF. I think that's really important. Mayor Hogsett is committed to shutting down TIFs that are not necessary, and that's what's happening here. And it is a zero balance, but let me point out that's because the Metropolitan Development Committee used those funds to get the repaving done next year of 2 of the top 50 worst streets in the city, both of which feed into that TIF. So kudos to Director Parker for working on that, but big kudos to Mayor Hogsett for shutting down unnecessary TIFs in our city. Thank you, Madam President.
Additional comments? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. The proposal carries 23-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 299, refer to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairman Osili.
Thank you, Madam President. Proposal number 299 amends the code to restructure plan review fees for construction and renovation of Class 1 structures, and to authorize the Board of Business and Neighborhood Services to reduce license and permit fees. Jason Larison, Business and Neighborhood Services Director, presented a few key points. Municipal Code Section 536-208 provides authority to examine plans and specifications prior to permit issuance and determine consistency with building standards and procedures. In the current fee schedule listed in Section 131-501, a fixed fee is set. The proposed fee schedule establishes fees as maximum allowed and all other existing fees become the maximum allowed fees. And it also empowers the BNS Board, the Business and Neighborhood Services Board, to establish and publish fees, and establishes a predictable rate on those fees. This has been supported by the American Institute of Architects and the American Council of Engineering, and will provide for an annual review of fee calculations. Craig Von Dalen of Dalen Realty presented as a supporter of this proposal, indicating that it provides predictability for architects and engineers who are making application. Councilor Adamson moved, seconded by Councilor Fanning, to send proposal number 299 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. And the motion carried by a vote of 6-0. Madam President, I so move.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. The proposal carries 23-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 300, referred to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairman Osili.
Thank you, Madam President. Proposal number 300 approves the statement of benefits of Infosys Limited, an applicant for tax abatement for property located in an economic revitalization area. Richard Hall of Barnes & Thornburg and Richard Cardwell of Infosys gave a brief presentation. Infosys is opening 4 tech innovation hubs in the United States and has announced the opening of the first 2 technology innovation hubs, one in Indianapolis and the other in Raleigh, North Carolina. The hub features state-of-the-art learning facilities with dedicated trainers and professors, open space for collaborative work culture, advanced equipment and labs for key specialty technologies. And the cost of the equipment could be up to $400 million. Current number of employees, 37 at $45 per hour wage rate. The new jobs to be created in Marion County is 300 at a $37 per hour wage rate. And these will be software engineers, technical leads, and project managers. Councilor Adamson stated that it is good to see jobs moving to Indianapolis from India rather than the other way around. And Angela Smith-Jones, our deputy mayor, stated that the administration supports this proposal and is very excited for the partnership to continue to grow. Councilor Adamson moved, seconded by Councilor Fanning, to send proposal number 300 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. And the motion carried by a vote of 6-0. Madam President, I so move.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Councilor Gray.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by the fact that they're going to bring 300 jobs that's going to pay $38 an hour. But how is this helping our people who are making $12 and $13 an hour? Are they going to bring some of those along with them as well?
Mr. Chairman.
No, I'm sorry. Their focus is specifically for this class of jobs, for jobs such as the software engineers, the technical leads, and the project managers. So the base staff will remain.
How long is the tax abatement for?
I'm sorry, again, please.
How long is
It's a 10-year tax abatement.
Huh?
It's a 10-year tax abatement.
10 year. Okay.
Councilor Clay.
Thank you, Madam President. The Majority Leader answered my question about the tax abatement. I would follow up, though, the specifics of the abatement, are they property or otherwise?
Mr. Chairman.
Sure. This is personal property. They're already housed in the Chase Bank building, I believe, in floors 21 and 22. So it'll be for personal property.
Examples of personal property in this context, Mr. Chairman, if I may, Madam President.
I tell you what, well, if you don't mind, I will ask the Deputy Mayor to come forward because I don't know the listing of the full range of equipment that they will be providing and that they will be buying. And so rather than guess at that extent, I will ask the Deputy Mayor to come forward. Thank you, Madam President.
Good evening, counselors. Thank you, Chairman Osley. This is regard to IT equipment, Counselor.
Please state your name and your position.
Thank you, Madam President. Deputy Mayor Angela Smith-Jones.
Thank you.
This is with respect to IT equipment, and the abatement for this IT equipment is over a 10-year period.
Yes, sir.
Do you anticipate retaining this same equipment during this period, or does it apply to any additional IT equipment that might be purchased during this 10-year period? When you say IT equipment, what are you talking about?
So any equipment that would be required for them to provide the services for the clients in which they're providing. So any software, any infrastructure that goes to supporting technology and supporting their clients in the city. So I'm not sure I really understand.
Well, I guess I'm saying with the innovation of technology in general.
Right.
How it's always, the new thing is always coming out. Within
it
this
a-
window of time, would this abatement cover any additional IT? I'll wait till you get through talking to our CFO.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I understood the question. It would just be with regard to the first installation of that equipment, sir.
Okay, so, and that's what I'm getting to. So what's installed now is what will be covered over a 10-year period?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you.
Additional questions, concerns?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor.
Vice President Adamson.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to say that this particular proposal during the committee was pretty exciting to watch and be a part of. Again, 300 jobs into the Marion County area at $37 a piece is pretty amazing. I encourage anybody who is interested in this to watch the committee to learn more about this company and the things that they're going to do in the city. It's very exciting. Thank you.
Additional comments? Seeing none, proceed. Yeah, Councilor Clay.
Thank you for the privilege. These high-end jobs, paying this $38 an hour is certainly commendable. Do we know what the expertise or professional level is? What type of jobs, other than obviously they're high-paying and well-paying, what are they by description?
Mr. Chairman, did you
Yes,
hear that?
I'll repeat what I said the first time, which is...
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yes. There are 3 job categories that this applies to, and those are the following. Software engineers, technical leads, and project managers.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Councilor Jackson.
Thank you, Madam President. Although I think this is a good proposal, I've met with DMD in the past and would want to challenge DMD and the mayor's administration on these applications when we do these abatements and tax incentives to add a category so we can track these, where these employees are they working in Marion County because it benefits, or they live in Marion County, it benefits us. They don't live in Marion County, it's not benefiting us. So it's great while we're getting these influx of jobs and technology jobs to come in. However, we need them to support and be hired by the residents who live, or at least a percentage. So I'd like to challenge DMD and the mayor's office to, I know we use and follow the state's application or form, but we can amend our own city form to, and I'd like to see that where we have a category, then we go back and see, we need to see what percentages of these high-paying jobs and management jobs are for Marion County residents. Thank you.
Additional comments? Seeing none, proceed to the board for our vote. The proposal carries 23 to 1. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 301, refer to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairman Osili.
Thank you, Madam President. Proposal number 301 approves the Metropolitan Development Commission's preliminary designation of the Goodwill Riverview Economic Development and Allocation Area. It is intended that the project has apartments designed and constructed at market rate standards, but with rent restrictions of 60 to 100% AMI, or 29,000 to 59,000 annual combined family income. In terms of the building, approximately 166,000 square feet. Of the 208 units, 78 to be efficiencies, 80 to be one-bedrooms, and 50 to be two-bedrooms, for a total of the 208. It was asked how conversations with the neighborhood organization had gone, that being Near West, and Mr. Zink stated that they have been supportive and provided a letter of support, and that they have made adjustments to accommodate some of the Near West visions and plans. Councilor Robinson asked what the city will be doing to assure that the agreements are being met, and Ryan Hunt of Department of Metropolitan Development stated that the agreements are enforceable by the city primarily through DMD, and stated they'll be required to meet with them to make sure that goals are met. Councilor Adamson moved, seconded by Councilor Fanning, to send Proposal 301 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. Madam President, I so move.
The motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Councilor Kreider.
Thank you, Madam President. For those playing the home game, we just approved money on 345 for this, so I think we should support the district as well.
Additional comments? Seeing none, proceed to the board for our vote. The proposal carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 303, refer to Admin and Finance Committee. Chairman Simpson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Proposal number 303, 2017, approve a transfer of $60,000 in the 2017 budget of the Marion County Treasurer County General Fund to cover the costs associated with temporary personnel services, additional postage costs, and technology project. Deputy Treasurer Cindy Lynn appeared before the committee to explain this transfer of funds from Character 3 to Character 1. Basically, it is for a shortfall in the cost of mailing tax bills, and more funds were requested to approve next year so they wouldn't have this shortfall again. The proposal passed out of committee 8-0. Madam President, I so move.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Seeing none, proceed to the board for our vote. The proposal carries 23-1. The next item on our agenda is Proposal 304, refer to Admin and Finance Committee. Chairman Simpson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Proposal number 304, authorize the Board of Commissioners of Marion County to dispose of certain parcels that have appraised value of $50,000 or more. Josh Peters, manager of the County-Owned Property Division, appeared before the Administration and Finance Committee on Tuesday, November 14, 2017, and explained the process for appealing that leads up to tax sales. And the county asked the county taking ownership of property due to delinquent taxes. The county are required to, by current law, to come to the council every year for approval on disposable property having appraised value greater than $50,000. And this year, that amount to 88 parcels, which were acquired through the 2016 tax sale. The proposal passed out of committee 8-0. Madam Chair, I so move.
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Councilor Jackson.
Thank you, Madam President. Initially in committee, I'm on Admin and Finance, I did make an amendment that was approved to change the amount of this particular cap. Is this the next one? I'm on a different one. Okay. I'm sorry, Madam President. I'll go on the next one.
Additional comments? Seeing none, proceed to the board for our vote. The proposal carries 22-1. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 305, refer to Admin and Finance Committee. Chairman Simpson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Proposal number 305, 2017, amend the code to increase the value that real property must have to have necessity to approve of the fiscal body for transferring under IC 36-1-11-3 or IC 36-1-11-5. Deputy Treasurer Lance appeared before the Administration and Finance Committee on Tuesday, November 14, 2017, to explain the new state legislators that will allow them to raise the assessed value of those property acquired in the tax sale and require council approval for disposal from $50,000 to $150,000, and abutting landowners sell limited from $15,000 to $50,000. She said this would allow more efficiency in the disposal of these properties and allow more timely sales of the vast majority of these county lien parcel to get them back on the tax roll. The proposal was amended to include required that the Treasurer Office continue to provide a list of all property value above $50,000 to the council once they are approved by the court, even though the approval is only needed those value above $150,000. This will allow councilors to keep track of the partial and possibly development in their district. The proposal passed out of committee 7-1. Madam President, I so move.
The motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Councilor Jackson.
Thank you, Madam President. Now I'm going to correct proposal 305. So in committee, amendment was made that they still had to come to us for or present all amounts shown, just so if there's a property or parcel shown, commercial or home, any real property sold in any councilor's district, we could be aware, or we could see either a trend if there's groups of properties being sold, especially in a particular area. My concern, and I had some heartburn then, I have even more now that I think about it. So Section A says approval of this physical body is only necessary for real property sales under IC 36-1-11-3 that have an appraised value greater than $150,000. My challenge and concern with this at the same time is that our average median home in Indianapolis is around $131,000, $138,000. So we're approving them all the way up to $150,000. That means any real estate property can be cleared through this entity without coming to the council. And so I do have some concern on that. I think that amount needs to be lowered to at least $75,000, even $100,000. But if it's $150,000, our median home value is $131,000. You do the math, they don't have to come to us unless it's over $150,000, where our median home that sells in Indianapolis is not over $150,000, it's under. And so we just want to make sure that when you go into these neighborhoods that they're not being bought up and sold by real estate developers as they have been doing. They did it downtown, they're doing it in areas that are attached to downtown, and I want to make sure this doesn't happen in other areas of Indianapolis. I'm not saying that's the goal here, I'm just saying this helps protect our constituents and our property owners, especially those who are losing their homes in tax sales. It's very important for this body to be accountable and be transparent to the public and the taxpayers when we approve this type of thing. So I think this amount from $150 needs to be reduced to a lower amount when your median home is only selling for about $131,000 in Indianapolis. Thank you.
Additional comments? Vice President Adamson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, or Madam President. Just curious for Councilor Jackson, did you have an amendment you wanted to offer?
Can I offer a amendment? Ms. Biesecker says no.
Oh, well, amendments have to be in writing.
It has to be in writing. So can we vote no on this and come back? I mean, it's nothing detrimental. They don't go through tax again, I think, until May or June of next year. So we vote no tonight. We can bring back another lower amount if you guys are more comfortable. I'd be more comfortable with my vote tonight be no. I can't see us voting to waive 150. They got carte blanche to $150,000 when our median home in Indianapolis is $138,000. So that means they got carte blanche. And so I'd be asking you all tonight if we could vote no tonight, or can we vote to table it and come back, or send it back to committee?
Mr. Biesecker.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, certainly one option would be to move to send it back to committee.
Do I do that now, Madam President?
Well, you can if you want to.
Yes,
May I do so,
Counselor.
Madam President?
Yes, Counselor.
Thank you. I make a motion to send proposal 305 back to committee.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded to send proposal 305 back to committee. Comments on the motion to send it back? Vice President Adamson.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm curious, for anyone who was on that committee, was this option discussed at the committee?
Is there anyone on Chairman Simpson, Chairman Johnson, does anybody want to comment on what happened in committee? Councilor Ray, anybody? Feaster? Yes, Councilor.
Yeah, so this was discussed. I'm under the impression that this kind of operation takes place after a property has been unable to be sold at auction. So the process gets to the very, very end where we're having a very hard time getting rid of these properties. And so the mark here that we don't go over was based on that. So even if the property's sitting at $150,000, it is a property we've been unable to sell in auction up to that point. So I don't see a reason to go back to this. I think that this proposal, the way it's written, makes sense, and considering the mechanisms that are in place to try to dispose of properties otherwise, I think this is a fair thing. We also requested that a list of those properties would be provided to the councilors after they've been dealt with. So I completely appreciate Councilor Jackson's point of view here, but I think for me, this makes sense to move forward and to receive that list pending the approval from the Treasurer's Office.
Mr. Chairman.
I concur with Councilor Johnson.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, what did you say? I didn't hear you.
I agree with Councilor
You can
Johnson.
carry, okay. Councilor Feaster.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And I appreciate Councilor Jackson's passion and her desire to support her constituents. But my understanding of this proposal was to facilitate the sale of the property, so it doesn't have to wait for council to put it through committee and then to another council meeting. And in addition to that, the treasurer is an elected official, and so they are responsible, and they're I can't think of the word that I want, but they have to respond to their constituents as well. So while I can see Councilor Jackson's concern, I really think that it's okay as it is, and I'll be supporting passing it tonight. Thank you.
Councilor Jackson.
Thank you for letting me have the opportunity to speak again, Madam President. I just want to make sure I'm not saying this is going to happen. We've seen in the city that gentrification doesn't start to happen here when we do this on this amount, so high of amount that no eyes are on it, doesn't go through committee unless it's over 150,000. So right now we may not have an issue. We may have had 8 homes in that range, but that could be projected to 16 and then more homes, and then so I just want to make sure that there is some checks and balances and we don't go into gentrification in this area. So thank you.
Additional comments? Councilor Robinson.
Thank you, Madam President. Can we have someone from the administration, one of the directors, come and speak to this proposal?
I'm not sure, is it the administration or someone from the treasurer's office or the assessor's office? Is there anyone in the audience? I don't see anyone in the audience from. Is there anyone in the administration that wants to speak to the proposal? But again, I do believe it's the treasurer and the assessor. Is that, or DMD? Nope. Okay. Hey, I tried. Councilor Oliver?
Councilor Jackson certainly raised some interesting points there. The impact of raising this ceiling to $150,000 going to have a tremendous impact on certain communities in our city. Therefore, I support this going back to committee for further thrashing.
Vice President Adamson.
Thank you, Madam President. I don't think I ever really got a clear answer on whether or not this particular issue was addressed in the committee process.
It was, and they responded.
Yes. It was discussed.
It was discussed and
Yes.
then, but
Mr.
not
Chairman.
accepted.
Mr. Chairman.
It was discussed, and it was fully vetted. And I think it's pretty clear to what Councilor Johnson is saying, that they're finding that more and more properties are coming on the tax roll that are over up to 150,000. So it's not like a mass increase, but they're beginning to see it, and they're trying to get prepared for it. And so this was fully vetted by the church, and they did a good job explaining it to us.
And I believe I'm not sure if I made a motion or not, but I did raise the issue to see if we could make a compromise on the dollar amount, but there really wasn't an appetite by the committee to reduce that amount to 150. And so I was the one person in committee that voted no against the proposal. Vice President Adamson.
Thank you, Madam President. I would support sending it back if there hadn't been that discussion, but I just wanted to know to make sure that it had or had not been done. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Councilor Gray? Oh, Councilor Gray, then I'll come back to you, Councilor Jackson. Councilor Gray?
Yes, just what does it do? What does this $150 represent?
Mr. Chairman, do you want to respond to Councilor Gray?
I didn't hear what he said.
What does it do? What's the purpose of this? What are we doing here?
Mr. Brown, do you want to respond?
So the treasurer has the duty to sell surplus property, and there are points where some property is just harder to sell. Right now, they have to come to us for every piece of property that they want to sell quickly, 50,000 or above, and make a list and get approval. That's just an extra step. What they're asking for, and actually they got special legislation by the state to up that to 150,000. So from now on, if this is approved, they would only have to come to the council and ask approval to sell these surplus properties at 150,000 and above. They still will give us a list of all the surplus according to this proposal, but this.
So what now about the list?
They'd still give us a list of all properties 50,000, valued at 50,000 above that as surplus, and break it down by each district. But the actual approval by the council would be set at $150,000 of the value of the property.
So this part of the new proposal that they would do this, because I've been here for a few years, and I don't think I ever seen a sheriff's sale or a treasurer's sale list come through the council.
No, they actually do come back once a year. At the end of the year, they come with a list of surplus property for the council to approve over 50.
That's available for sale?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Madam Chair.
Who does it go to?
The approval go, what committee?
Where does the list go?
The list is submitted to the council for approval at 50,000 above.
I don't remember ever seeing that list.
Mr. Chairman Simpson?
Yeah, lastly, Mr. Biesecker, I asked him about the concern about this proposal, and Mr. Biesecker, he's here right now if you want to state pretty much what you said was the legal standpoint. There is no issue, as the new state legislature clearly give the council the authority to raise the limit. He added that the state do not even set a cap or a limit on the amount, so that they could go higher or lower. He said that the current list they just approved, it looked like the vast majority of the partials are between 50,000 and 100,000. Only 7 above 100 and 3 above 150. I think the treasurer, like I say, they're seeing a flux of property coming in around 100,000 and going up to 150,000. Like they said before, they're just trying to make sure that they can move these properties and not have them sitting there on the tax roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilor Gray.
Last thing. So the purpose of this is to expedite the sale? Is that what it is?
Correct. Additional comments about the, Councilor Jackson.
Thank you, Madam President. So for those who asked, was this discussed in committee? It was. It went back to, could we do a median, come with some happy compromise, 75,000, went back and forth. Again, as Madam President said, there really wasn't a appetite for that. But I'm the one that put the amendment out to have them to come back to the committee to bring the list, and the list is fine, but even as I'm listening to Chairman Simpson, the assessors contradict themselves. Well, if you only see about 7 or 8, then why do we need to lift it up to 150? Why wouldn't 75 or 100 work? I'm just asking a question that was just stated. Thank you.
Additional comments? So the motion is to send proposal 305 back to committee. If you support the motion, select the the green button to send the proposal back to committee. Green to support the motion. The motion fails 4-0. Additional comments on proposal 305? Seeing none, the board is open. Oh, maybe not. Now. We're voting on the proposal. Chairman Simpson? Thank you. Yes, this is on the proposal, sir, the one that you sponsored. There we go. The proposal carries 21-3. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 306, refer to Admin and Finance Committee. Chairman Simpson.
Sorry about that. I was 306, approve the transfer in 2017 budget of Office and Audit and Performance Consolidated County Fund for the purchase of audit management software. Director Hope Tribble appeared before the Administration and Finance Committee to explain that they wanted to use some savings in Character 1 due to some staffing vacancy over the course of this year to implement a cloud-based automatic auditing management software program for auditing planning, risk management, and tracking of findings. The proposal passed out of committee 8-0. Madam President, I so move.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Other comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. The proposal carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 308, referred to Admin and Finance Committee. Chairman Simpson.
Madam Chair, with consent, I would like to take proposal 308, 309, 310, 311, 2017 together. Oh, I can go through them singly. somebody in there. Okay, proposal number 308 through 311 were heard by the Administration and Finance Committee on Tuesday and are approved of the need for lease space for the Marion County Prosecutor Office, the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department, the Marion County Public Defender Agency. Representative from all the various agencies appeared before the committee explaining the need for leasing of office space at the Glick Center, Flanner House, for Child Support Division of the Prosecutor Office, at the Julian Center for IMPD, and at Martindale Brightwood Community Center for TPR/CHIN staff of the Public Defender Office to be conveniently located across from the juvenile court. All four proposals passed out of committee unanimously. Madam President, I so move.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Councilor Gray?
Are these existing locations where they are now, or are these all new locations?
Chairman Simpson?
All of them are existing. I think Glick is somebody, let's see, someone from the prosecutor office. I think Glick is new. Am I correct? Okay.
Mike McGuire, Assistant Supervisor for the Marion County Prosecutor's Office Child Support Division. The Glick is a new facility for us.
That's what I thought so. Thank you.
Additional questions? Madam Clerk, please note that the first two, Councilor Miller did ask to be excused in his original statement. Thank you. Additional comments? Seeing none, proceed to the board for our vote. Councilor Coates? Councilor Gray, Kreider? Councilor Feaster? The board may not have been open when you first hit the, sorry about that. Chairman Simpson? There we go. The proposal's carried 24 to 0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 313, refer to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Chairman Robinson.
Thank you, Madam President. Proposal 313, 2017, approves the transfer of $500,000, $2017 budget of the Marion County Clerk and the Clerk's Perpetuation Fund to support remodel of the Clerk's office to complete a smart sizing initiative by centrally locating staff. Myla Eldridge, Marion County Clerk, read through a presentation making the following key points. Purpose is to transfer $275,000 from Character 1 to Character 3 in the Clerk's Perpetuation Fund. Remodel will relocate clerk staff from the courts to the clerk's office in a space recently vacated by Information Services Agency. And the implementation of a smart sizing initiative will save roughly $250,000 in personnel costs each year starting in 2018. Councilor Simpson moves, seconded by Councilor Oliver, to send proposal number 313 to the full council. They do pass recommendation. The motion carried by a vote of 10-0. Madam President, I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Seeing none, proceed to the board for our vote. The proposal carries 23-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 317, refer to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Chairman Robinson.
Thank you, Madam President. Proposal 317, 2017, approves certain public purpose grants totaling $304,786 from the Drug-Free Community Fund. Mr. Holder Miller stated that this proposal is typical annual process of the allocation of the grant dollars for the Drug-Free Community Fund. And Randy Miller, Drug-Free Marion County, stated that this is a dedicated fund which receives fees from the courts for alcohol and drug-related offenses. He said that there are 11 grantees for 2018. Councilor Muscari moved, seconded by Councilor Coach, to send proposal 317 to the full council. They do pass recommendation. Motion carried by a vote of 9-0. Madam President, I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. The proposal carries 23-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 319, refer to Public Works Committee. Vice President Adamson.
Thank you, Madam President. Proposal 319 approves a request of the Department of Public Works to purchase certain real estate interests for the construction of a public works project. Councilor Gray moves, seconded by Councilor Scales, to send proposal 319 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. That motion carried by a vote of 8-0, and I so move.
Motion been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. The proposal carries 23-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 320, refer to Public Works Committee. Vice President Adamson.
Thank you, Madam President. Proposal number 320 approves a public lighting contract with Indianapolis Power and Light. Mackenzie Higgins, project manager for the office of Mayor Joe Hogsett, said that pending council approval, the city will invest $12 million over the 3 years to convert 27,240 of the existing 29,000 streetlights to LED. Councilor Scales asked if residents will receive any rate increases in their bill due to this project, and Ms. Higgins answered in the negative. Councilor Oliver moved, seconded by Councilor Gray, to send proposal 320 to the full council with a due pass recommendation, and that motion carried by a vote of 7-1, with Councilor Scales casting the negative vote. And I so move.
Second. The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Seeing that, yes, Councilor Miller?
Sorry. I can never figure out if that light's working, sorry. One of the reasons Councilor Scales had raised concerns in committee is we hadn't gotten the contract in enough time to really go over it thoroughly. But I wanted to point out Mr. Biesecker did a great job of looking through it. One of the things I had asked was, I realize the contract is very different. We're talking about LED lights, which is extremely exciting for the city. And in fact, the chance to get 2,000 more new lights, thanks to the mayor's plan there. But one thing I had asked was, forgetting those elements, when you just talk liability to the city, if somebody hits a telephone pole, who's responsible? Or a light pole, who's responsible? If a light bursts and the glass hits somebody, just the liability type of things that have nothing to do with the type of light. And so he did an analysis of that and said he didn't find anything that, I'm using his wording and Mr. Biesecker can jump in, but that weakened the city's legal position compared to the 2011 contract, which is really what I was looking at. Is I'm not a lawyer, so I wanted to make sure that we were still covered as a city, because that's not something I would be able to look at. But so I appreciate his looking at it, and again, appreciate the mayor coming up with a great plan for our city on our lights.
Additional, was there a question in there?
Not at
I'm
all.
sorry.
And
Okay.
only if Mr. Biesecker
Okay.
wanted to respond. And thank you to IPL as well. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you. Additional comments, councilors? Seeing none, proceed to the board for our vote. The proposal carries 24-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 322, referred to Public Works Committee. Vice President Adamson.
Thank you, Madam President. With consent, I'd like to take the next 7 proposals together. Thank you. Proposal number 322 authorizes intersection controls at Asbury Street and Lawrence Avenue in District 24. Proposal number 323 authorizes intersection controls at Hudson Street and Alley 1050 North in District 17. Proposal number 324 authorizes intersection controls at Ridgeview Drive and 13th Street in District 19. Proposal 325 authorizes speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour in the Danbury subdivision in District 2. Proposal 326 authorizes intersection controls at Duquesne Way and Dunn Way in District 22. Proposal 327 authorizes restricted parking on the corners of Delaware Street and 23rd Street and Delaware Street and 24th Street in District 11. Proposal number 328 authorizes restricted parking on Regent Street from Cole Street to the eastern termination point in District 22. Nathan Sheetsey, Administrator for TBW, gave a brief description of these proposals. Councilor McHenry asked if all councilors were on board with these proposals. Councilor McHenry moved, seconded by Councilor Ray, to send these proposals to the full council with a due pass recommendation. That motion carried by a vote of 6-0, and I so move.
Second. The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Seeing none, proceed to the board for our votes. Councilor Feaster. Thank you. The proposal's carried 24-0. There is no business under Special Service District Council. There is no business under new business. We'll proceed to announcements and adjournments. This docket, you have an announcement? Vice President Adamson.
Thank you, Madam President, and this is for the public and all counselors. Counselor Osley, Counselor Oliver, and myself, and the Marion County Public Library will be hosting a panel discussion on the state of hate in our country and in our state and our city. I hope that all of you will attend, and the public will also attend. And Pastor Green, who gave the invocation here this evening, will be one of the panelists on the discussion. Hopefully you all make it out. It'll be a very worthwhile conversation. That's this Saturday at 1 p.m. at the Central Library Auditorium.
Thank you. Additional announcements? This docket agenda of this council having been completed, the chair will now entertain motions for adjournment.
Madam President.
Chair recognizes Councilor McQuillan.
Thank you, Madam President. I've been asked to offer the following motion for adjournment. By Councilor Lewis in memory of John Herbert Bush Sr. and Darian Patterson. By Councilor Cordy in memory of Magdalene June Barber, Jeannie A. Frey, and Luis M. Zor Collins. By Councilor Feaster in memory of James G. Fitzwater, Don Rabe, John Armstrong, John Conger, Gerald Reed, Russell Snellenberger, and Joseph Steve Dahl. By Councilor Wessler in memory of Brian Atwell, William Baker, and Roger McNeely. By Councilors Feaster and Wessler in memory of Jack R. Tyndall. By Councilor McQuillan in memory of Margaret Bosma, Kenneth L. McLaughlin, Andre B. Lacey, and Marlon Eugene Sam Sr. By Councilors McQuillan, Cordy, Kreider, Wessler, Fanning, McHenry, and Holliday in memory of John William Sweezy. By Councilor Mascari in memory of Marilyn Barton. By Councilors Mallory and Mascari in memory of Mallory, Elizabeth Opal Jackson, and Meredith Grace Opal. By Councilor Mallory in memory of Richard Bud Clyde Sturm and Kenny Sibbles. By Councilor McHenry in memory of Dr. Kevin Rogers. Madam President, I would like to move the adjournment of this meeting of the Indianapolis City County Council in recognition of and respect for the life and contributions of those here persons I've here specifically named. I respectfully ask the support of fellow councilors. I further request that the motion be made a part of the permanent records of this body and that a letter bearing the council seal and the signature of the President be sent to the family of each person advising of this action.
Thank you, Councilor McQuillan. Hearing no objection, the motion is received and the request are so ordered. Hearing no further motions, we are adjourned.